Hi, it's Anne here, and today's video is my 6th update for my Pan That Palette project for 2022. We are halfway through the year. That's crazy. Halfway through this project, halfway through the year. Oh my god. Anyway, without further ado, I have 2 palettes that I'm working on for my panning portion of this project. I also have a roulette portion, so once we talk about the panning stuff, I will talk about the June palette picks that I just used this past month, and then I will introduce the July palette picks. So, panning part, let's talk about the eyeshadow palette first. I'm working on the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. Guys, we hit pan. Yay! This pan was a lot of effort. I'm just going to put that out there. This was a well-earned pan. It took me pretty much all month to get that. And it's teeny tiny. Look at that teeny tiny pan. Super excited. That is in the shade Hazelnut. I thought I was a lot closer than what I was. So yeah, that's the only pan. I haven't figured out, I do want to do the same thing and focus on a shade. I'm just not sure which is the best one to focus on. I think I'm going to focus on Salted Caramel. I think it has the biggest dip so far. Milk Chocolate has an okay dip. Creme Brulee has an okay dip, and so does Champagne Truffle, but I feel like this one's the one I want to focus on next. I don't think I will hit pan by next month. The mattes in this palette are much harder to hit pan on, and that was already hard enough on the shimmer shade. So yeah, the other thing I want to say is I did weigh this palette. So I mentioned at the very beginning that I was not going to weigh this palette in this project, at least regularly, because it's heavier than my jewelry scale. So I have to weigh it on the kitchen scale. So there's nothing less than a gram. So I knew there was not going to be a whole lot of progress on this. I could be pretty slow. So I did weigh it at the very, very beginning, and it was 209 grams. And today we are at 207 grams. So I've used at least 2 grams of product. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's talk about the numbers. So I think this may be the 3rd month that I've been keeping track of numbers. I didn't start tracking my usage at the very beginning, but I started adding it in after seeing a few other people, most notably Danny from Danny's makeup channel. And again, the photo will show I sort of view the palette like a left half and a right half. So this past month I used Gilded Ganache 0 times. I used White Chocolate 17 times. I used Salted Caramel 2 times. I used Marzipan 7 times. Semi-Sweet 4 times. Hazelnut 17 times. I was not joking. It took most of the month to get to that pan. Creme Brulee 3 times. Hot Chocolate 0 times. Milk Chocolate 5 times. Black Forest Truffle 0 times. Triple Fudge 1 time. Strawberry Bonbon 2 times. Candied Violet once. Amaretto 0. Cherry Cordial 0. And Champagne Truffle 9 times. So those were the usage for the past month. If I add up so far how much usage I've used so far, I'd say this year, but it's over the past 3 months, I think. Gilded Ganache is 2 times. White Chocolate is 74 times. That's the one I'm using the most. Salted Caramel is 14 times. Marzipan is 25. Semi-Sweet is 20. Hazelnut is 34. Creme Brulee is 9. Hot Chocolate is 3. Milk Chocolate is 17. Black Forest Truffle is 3. Triple Fudge 11. Strawberry Bonbon 11. Candied Violet 4. Amaretto 3, Cherry Cordial 2, and Champagne Truffle 28. I'm clearly not going to hit pan on every shade in this palette. I don't even know if I'll finish Marzipan, like at the rate I'm going. I mean, I'd like to finish Marzipan. That would be one of my goals for it. And I think I would like to hit pan on at least 3 other shades. I think I can hit pan on 3 other shades. And with that, I'll be pretty happy. I am starting to feel pangs of like sadness by letting that palette go. I'm not sure I'm ready. I keep saying I'm going to be ready. I'm not sure I'm ready to let it go at the end of this year. I'm going to try. But I might do what Kat did. I might pop out a few shades instead of keeping the whole palette. We'll see. We'll see when we get to the end of the year. That's a long ways away. But yeah, that's the update on my eyeshadow palette. The update on my face palette, I'm using the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Volume 4. No pan. I'm definitely getting a lot of use out of this shade. That is Dim Light. It's definitely like pretty flat. Oh, there's a hair. The texture, you can see like the texture of these like sort of change as you're wearing them down. You see sort of little air pockets in it. And I've been using this shade, the bronzer, quite a bit. Still not really using the blushes at all. But yeah, I mean, it's slow going, but it's going. So this one I am weighing. Last month this was 136.54 grams. It's now 136.3 grams, so that's a difference of 0.24 grams. And in total, since the beginning of the year, I've used 1.49 grams of this palette, the products in this palette. So yeah, the side by side, I mean, visually it will kind of look different-ish, but it's still no pan. I feel like I'm so close. I can kind of see the corner of the pan on this one, like right on the inside there. I can sort of see like it wearing a little bit. So like the metal, I can kind of see it, I think, but not enough to like actually be a thing. So yeah, that's going. I mean, I like this palette. I'm actually kind of glad it's not going super fast, because I think I would be sadder if I was flying through this, because it is expensive. So I am glad that it is taking a bit longer to use these products than initially anticipated. So now let's review the June palettes, the palettes I was using last month. The first one I want to talk about is the Dolce Vita palette from Charlotte Tilbury. Yeah, I've concluded these are way overpriced for what they are. I would never pay full price for these. I wouldn't buy this one in particular. I have the Pillow Talk one and I like that one. But I feel like once you have one or two, like that's it. You won't need any more. They're just not worth the price. I think I only have one photo of this. I think I used it twice, to be honest. I definitely used it once, like for the photo, and I think I'm going to use this lighter shade in another look. So this month is going to be low on the looks because I was using that shade from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. I didn't have a lot of photos of like just sort of all-inclusive of just a palette look. I was constantly mixing shades, so it was hard to take photos because it was like, well, this is using this palette, and I try and do photos where I'm like, this is sort of featuring each palette if I can. So yeah, I only had one photo of this. It's a fine palette. I'm gonna keep it, but you know, someday this will get decluttered because I don't even see myself panning the whole thing. I can see myself panning this shade and maybe hitting pan on that shade. These two shades, meh. So outside of the Too Faced palette, the other palette I used quite a bit this past month was the Viseart Paris Edit palette. So this was my Spoil Yourself palette. This is what it looks like. I don't have a whole lot of photos of looks for this palette because I have filmed a 3 looks 1 palette video. I have edited maybe a third of that. It's just taking me a long time. I'm having a hard time like filming and editing and having time to actually like coordinate and get these things out. All the things, the pieces are there. It's just bringing all the pieces together to get a video uploaded. I've enjoyed this palette. It is very light. There's not a whole lot of depth in this. For me, that's totally fine. I like that. I have enjoyed playing with this. I will say though, I feel like it's missing a mid-tone brown. I feel like these two browns are both light and very similar. They're sort of like, yeah, these sort of 4 shades here, like this sort of middle section here sort of all blends together, which makes it easy for blending, but difficult to get kind of unique shades. I think I have a dark brown in the Petite Pro 2, so I might do some swapping and switching around. But I have enjoyed playing with this. I enjoyed almost all the looks. One of the looks that I was trying to do in my like 3 looks thing, there were some mistakes made. It didn't work out quite as I had mentally thought it would. I mean, it was still pretty, but it just didn't quite work out as I had hoped. But yeah, I have enjoyed this. I am glad I have it. It makes me want more of these palettes. I think at some point I might just bite the bullet the next time, like maybe not this year, but you know, kind of when I'm not doing the budget stuff, or you know, different planning of how I'm doing budgets, I might do a bigger purchase from the Viseart website and just suck it up with the like shipping costs. Maybe buy like 3 or 4 palettes because I love the size of this. I do like the quality of these shadows. I feel like they apply and blend really easily. I feel like I can create like a look very fast, and it's a complete look. It's not like just I threw one shadow on and off I go. Like I can use 3 or 4 shadows But again, I was doing the 3 looks, 1 palette thing, and when I was filming, like the first, not the look that kind of screwed up, but the first look and the third look, they came together so quickly. I was like, oh, that wasn't a whole lot of work at all. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I can tell though that this kind of color scheme would not be for everybody. But if you enjoy Viseart shadows and you like this color scheme, I think it's definitely worth picking up. Although I can see it having overlap with some of their other shadows, so it would depend on what else you have from them. Yeah, really enjoyed playing with that one. The next palette I want to talk about is the Wet n Wild Color Icon palette in Lights Off. I did use this one a fair amount, but not necessarily on its own. I felt like I was mixing it a lot with other stuff, particularly these 3 shades. Honestly, just the light shades. I feel like a lot of, like the Too Faced palette, there's nothing bright except for that pink color, the Champagne Truffle. Everything else is sort of, even the Marzipan is not as bright as I want it to be sometimes, like for inner corner or brow bone. So I was pulling in these 3 shades a lot. I didn't really use much else outside of that. I didn't use the green. I did use the black, but I didn't use the dark gray. But yeah, like I like half of this palette. Like these shimmers are really, really pretty. Like this one's a really interesting sort of duochrome type thing. This one has a lot of shine to it, which I think is really pretty. Again, was this palette worth it for me? Not really. Like if I could go back in time, I might not have purchased this, to be honest. I don't need it in my life, but it's here, so I'll use it. The next palette that I want to talk about is the Color Workshop eyeshadow palette. This is the one I call the Neutrals. Doesn't have a name. I did use this one a fair amount. I used it for 3 or 4 days because I took this home with me, and I don't think I have any looks with it because it's not really a looks palette. I'm just going to put that out there. It's not a looks palette. It does not film nice. It does not photograph nice. It's just boring. It is super boring, but it's great for that. It's super easy to just grab a couple colors, throw it on, and away you go. I don't think I used these 2 shades down in the end, the pink and the gray, but I used mostly everything else. This one kind of looks a bit olivey in the pan, but it doesn't look like that on my eyes, at least for me. It's a bit more of just like a brown. But yeah, it's not bad. Like it's easy for, this is the kind of eyeshadow palette, like if you are afraid of makeup, you've never really worn eyeshadow before, or you struggle with placing eyeshadow and you're not sure what you're doing, picking up one of these things, like the quality is good enough, and I feel like these blend quite nicely, and they're not overpowering, they're not scary, so you can get comfortable with like putting a bit of shadow down. I also feel like, again, for me, because I'm getting older, if I'm doing my makeup but I don't put anything on my eyes, it looks odd, because I have a lot of texture, I have a lot of veins, there's a lot of redness. I can put like concealer down and like blank it out, but it still looks a little odd. I feel like I need to add just like, you know, just one of these little light shades in here just to add a little bit. Again, that's if I'm doing like the rest of my makeup. If I'm just doing like, you know, a little bit of blush and a little mascara, that's a different kind of look. But if I'm doing like foundation and bronzer and everything, I feel like I still need to throw a little shadow on, even if it's just like a super neutral one, like one of these ones down here. So yeah, I like this little guy. Probably like 10 cents value. Good value for me. And the dud of the group, not a dud in terms of quality, but I didn't use it. So I used it today. I was like, crap, I need to use that palette. I have not used it. So I ended up actually using this shade over here and then these 3 shades over here, and that's it. I didn't touch any of like the reddish orangey shades. I didn't touch any of those. And I'm not sure I will. So I am filming this kind of early. Again, like I said, I'm having a hard time coordinating, organizing myself. I am filming this a little early, and yeah, I might, oh, I think I just broke the little clasp thing. Good job, Anne. Yeah, totally broke it. Well, it was always kind of hard to open, so now it's not hard to open. This is a palette I can see myself eventually letting go. Just because this type of color story is not me. It's a lot of warmth. It's a lot, but at the same time, it's like, well, I keep this because it fills that gap, so I don't feel like I need to get a palette that's like this. I already have it. Like it's already in the collection. It already fills that hole. In the event that I want to use these kinds of shades, which I do sometimes. They're just not regular shades for me, like the really warm orange shades. Okay, and now we are going to go into the June pick. So how I've been doing this over the past couple months, I've been hand-picking a palette to use, and then the rest are Roulette. At the beginning of the year, I was just Rouletting, and that was the entire plan. And instead of doing number of palettes, because some palettes are really large and some are really small, I was trying to do a round number of shadows. And again, originally it was like trying to hit every single shade at some point. I've let that go. It's fine. But I'm trying to hit around 50 shadows, so however many palettes that adds up to. It could be 3 palettes, it could be 10 palettes, but 50 shades, between like 48 to 52 is kind of the range I'm going in. So the first one, the Roulette picked, was this guy, the Animal Crossing 5-Star Island. I got this in a mystery, little ColourPop mystery box. I think this is so cute. I've barely used it. I think I've only used it maybe a couple of times, so I'm super excited to play with this. I feel like this is summer to a T. This is my kind of summer. This just reminds me of like pink lemonade, and yeah, I just want to like eat this up on my eyeballs. That was horrible. I keep the box for this because I think it's super cute. I've never played Animal Crossing. Maybe someday I will buy a Switch, but not yet. Yeah, so I'm super excited that it picked that one. So the next one it picked, I was kind of slightly disappointed this is what it picked, because it's very similar to the Rimmel palette. It's the NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette in Warm Neutrals. I even did a video comparing the two of them to show that they are fairly similar. The Rimmel one is warmer, and this one has like the warm half, and there is definitely overlap. I'm not gonna lie, you see in the swatch photo, I had a hell of a time trying to swatch this, particularly the shades that are like have huge pan in them. So these shades sort of like near the top, there's still a bit of shadow in here, still a bit in here, still a bit in this guy right here. Those three I like could not swatch at all. I think what I'm going to do is repress these and see how it goes. I've always kind of hinted maybe bringing this back as a panning project again, because I would like to hit pan on every shade before I get rid of this, but yeah, I'm not sure if the quality now is really there, because I feel like this is definitely drying out. I've had it for a really long time now, and I used it quite a bit. I mean, I did a really good job last year. I think this was last year's palette. Was it last year's palette? No, it was not. This was 2 years ago. Carly Bible was last year. But yeah, this is a palette that I'm now thinking like maybe it's time to let it go. So I'm gonna repress those shades, and then we'll see. We'll go from there. See how it goes. The next palette is very much in the same vein as the 5-Star Island palette. This is the Sugar Pill Little Twin Stars palette. This is such a weird palette. There's only 6 shades in it, but it's massive. The pan sizes are huge. Huge pan sizes. I feel like the bottom 3 shades are definitely shades that you can use as face shades. Wish is a little reddish and it's very shimmery, but you could use it as a bronzer if you like, if you're into that. But yeah, I'm super excited again that it pulled this one because I don't use this one a whole lot. I know I really like these 2 shades and this one. I know I like never use this, and I'm not a huge gold person. So like these 2 are like my least 2 shades in this. But I'm looking forward to playing with this one. I got this in a lucky bag 2 years ago. And then we flip back to a neutral palette. I pulled this one. This was the Tarte, or I didn't pull it, the Roulette picked it, the Tarte Be You Naturally palette. And I was intending to declutter this. I tried to declutter this. I tried to give it away and nobody wanted it. So I'm like, well, fine, I'll just keep it. It's fine. Still smells good. It smells like vanilla, sugary vanilla. Yeah. It's super neutral. It's going to be hard to use this because it very much overlaps. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, there's a lot of lightness in this that, again, doesn't exist in my Too Faced palette. So it'll be good to pair with my Too Faced palette. But that'll end up meaning that I won't have a lot of, like, one palette type looks. I'll be combining the 2 palettes. So we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, this is fine. Again, I've considered panning this, but I feel like this will be just like the Too Faced one, and it'll be really hard because I think these would be really hard to pan, to be honest. I feel like they're fairly hard pressed. I don't know. Let me play with it this month and see if it's still a potential panning candidate. Because I was not too thrilled with the NYX pick, and I'm not 100% sure how much I will use it, I wanted to pull another palette myself. I picked another little quad. I picked the ColourPop Tender Loving Cancer. I kind of want to pick this because July is this Cancer, well, most of July, and I'm a Cancer. I'm like at the very tail end, almost. I'm close to a Leo, but I'm not. But yeah, so I picked this guy because it's seasonally appropriate, and I want to play with it. again, it's one that I have not used a whole lot. So again, I don't see myself doing a whole lot of full looks with this palette. I see this more as a companion type palette with some other stuff. And lastly, I did hint at this at several other videos that I was going to put this in my July pick. So I picked up this palette in, I guess it was May now that I picked it up. It's the Lost in Los Angeles palette from BH Cosmetics. This palette is beautiful. I feel like it's a little bit washed out on camera, but I'm going to put the swatches up. Let's just have a moment. Let's just have a moment with these swatches and take a look at them because they are absolutely beautiful. I love the color story of this. Whoever came up with this color story, I hope you're still at BH Cosmetics. I hope they didn't I don't know what's going on corporately, but I hope you got a raise or you got like a bonus or something, because whoever came up with this color story did a genius job. It is a beautiful palette. The only thing missing for me or something different was like a light yellow. So, because this is a little bit deep, I would have lightened that up a little bit. But I did already use this palette for Pride. I used LAX, and what did I use? LAX 90210, so these two shades right here, and then this purple shade right here, which is called Abbott Kinney. So yeah, I've played with it once. I'm looking forward to playing with this a whole lot more this next month. I might do a 3 looks 1 palette, or I might just do a get ready with me. I do want to do a video on this palette. You ever have like love at first sight? I feel like I'm like gushing about this palette and I've barely used it. But I'm so excited that I picked this one up. It was worth it for me, I think. Again, the color selection, like when I was looking at palettes to do an eyeshadow look for Pride, I was like, this one, it's calling my name. I need to use it. So I did. Yeah, so looking forward to playing with that one more. So those are my palette selections for the upcoming month. Again, a mix of like light, colorful. So we have like these 3 that are sort of light. They're sort of light washes of color. They're color, but they're all like slightly close to pastel or pastel colors. This guy, which I think will be a good pairing palette. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use just the top 2 shades the most. And then we have these 2 palettes, which are like the neutrals of the bunch. Although I feel like, again, swatch-wise, quality, this one's really good. This one's starting to really go bad, which I always felt the quality of this one was pretty good for the price, especially if you got it on sale, because you get 16 shades, and I love the size. Again, this is the design of this is fantastic. This is the only one I have in this style. I know they have a ton of other color stories. I wish they'd come out with new color stories in this style. That would make me very happy. Anyway, that is my Pan That Palette update number 6 for 2022. If you like this video, feel free to give a little thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel here in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.